introduction, you already know who this artist is. The great man himself. One of my favorite singers, Terry Linen. For me, Terry should go down as one of the greatest reggae talents to have emerged in the new millennium. He was always known for his soulful voice and heartfelt lyrics. And through his music, he was able to touch a lot of people, not just locally, but also international. But there's one question that was always asked about Terry. How could a young man from the rural parts of Jamaica rise to prominence in the reggae music scene? And if you understand how music works in Jamaica, how it worked back then, the musical landscape back then, if you aspired to be a musician or wanted to make it with music, you had to move to Kingston, or you had to be in Kingston, because at that time Kingston was the mecca of music. Born Kipling Simpson, Terry hails from a district known as Red Bank in the St. Elizabeth Parish. If you know Red Bank back in that time, Red Bank was, you would consider it rural. It was a rural area in St. Elizabeth. And like most people from the Red Bank area, Terry attended the primary school and high school that was located. He was the first child of his mother and was raised by his grandmother, because his mother was always out working. And that's typical for most of us Jamaicans. We'll be home with our grandparents or other extended families, while our parents might be in another parish or living in another parish working just to take care of us. From an early age, his passion for music was evident, as he was always singing on the church choirs and performing at local events in and around the Red Bank community. His early exposure to gospel music laid a strong foundation for his future in reggae. You know what I realized? A lot of our musicians always credit the church for giving them a start in music, whether they play instruments or they sing. They always say that, hey, I learned this while going to church, and they build on that knowledge from church to propel their career in music. So in some way, shape, or form, church had to play their role in building our music in Jamaica, whether it's reggae or dance or whatever it is. I guess that explains why our music, especially reggae music, always sounds like it's preaching. Like somebody's preaching to you. When you listen to these reggae artists, it always sounds like somebody's preaching to you. Anyways, eventually Terry moved from the quiet district of Red Bank and relocated to Mandeville with his mother, who had remarried at that time. After graduating from high school, Terry linked up with legendary soul Black Cat sound system, and he started cutting dubs for them, and that was the genesis of his career. It was during this time that Lennon became friends with some of the local artists who were on the rise. That would include General Degree, Tony Rebel, and Garnet Silk. They all had tremendous influence on Terry, and I can just see them helping Terry to actually craft his sound as well. Terry also met two other persons who were really important to his career. I think they were the most influential person that he met along his journey, and they were Tyrone Taylor and Courtney Melody. If you don't know those two persons, I'm going to give you two songs to go and search on YouTube. When you find those two songs, you're going to know who I'm talking about. First song is from Tyrone Taylor, that's From a Little Cottage in Negril, super popular song. You should know that as well. And the other one is from Courtney Melody, Modern Girl, popular song. You'll know who I'm talking about. General Degree, who is now close friends with Terry Linen, started bringing Terry to the studio with him, and he started to introduce him to the movers and shakers in the music industry at that time. So you can see that General Degree was not gatekeeping, he was trying to push Linen in the right path somewhere. At that time, Terry met a well-known business owner from the Soulful, St. Elizabeth area, who had a sound system by the name of Millions, and he persuaded Terry to join him. And at that time, Terry signed on with him, and Terry found this track known as Sweet Cassandra that was done on the Millions label. So that was a good song for him at that point. Terry's big break came around in 1996 when he met a renowned producer by the name of Anthony Redrose. Anthony Red Rose he saw the potential in Terry and decided to do some work with Terry at that time. That time, he and Terry recorded a track known as Rainbow Never Touched the Ground on the Touchy rhythm. That rhythm was a rhythm that was Anthony Red Rose rhythm at that time, and that song gained some level of success. After doing that song, people started to take, as I say, and give Terry the ears at that time. Terry get the ears of the people at that time. People started listening to Terry. Yeah, so there was some amount of success there. So Red Rose took Terry under his wing full time and started working as Terry's manager. So Red Rose is now Terry Lynn's manager. And under his guidance, Terry Lynn started to put out a string of hits. Um, Reggae gems such as Couldn't Be My Girl and Jaja You Save Me. In 1999, he recorded his monster hit. It wasn't his song, but it was a monster hit. He did a cover for the famous Whitney Houston song, Your Love Is My Love, and trust me, I think Terry Lynn's version is much better than the original. But on that project, Terry Lynn had a roster of stars on that project. On that project, he gained the assistance of Sly Dunbar, Robbie Shakespeare, Itzy, Jazzwad, and Dean Fraser. And if you know those names, you know those names are some very talented people in music. Your Love Is My Love hit the reggae chart, and I think it hit the reggae chart in New York and Miami, and it was on that chart, I think, in the top five for 12 weeks straight. So with all the success that Terry had in 1999, Terry was still not a household name. He was still not a household name. And Terry, on an interview, Terry said one of the reasons for that is because he was not proper promotion was not done. You know, everything in music is promotion. He was saying proper promotion was not done. There was no videos for his songs. Um, Nobody knew him, and people who actually were listening to the songs and people would come to stage shows to see or know who Terry Lynn was, and that is understandable. In the same year of 1999, Terry did a collaboration with a German reggae artist known as Gentleman. The single that they had on he did a single on his album, Judge I Never Fail. Very nice song. If you get the time, check YouTube, listen to it. It's a very good song. Um, he also did another song with Capleton in that year as well. I think it was in 1999 or 2000. He did a song with Capleton, Love Is Coming to You. And after he did that song, he started to get a lot of airtime. His songs were continuously being rotated on the radio. And if you know, back in the days, if a song was on radio now, radio was the main way for an artist to market their music. As the more people hear music, the more people want to hear it. Right? So, all in all, 1999 was a good year for Terry Lynn. In 2001, Terry Lynn dropped his first album. His album was self-titled Terry Lynn. It was distributed by VP Records, and that album received rave reviews from both music critics and fans alike. And that's on the strength of that album alone, Terry was able to tour Japan and North America. He performed on many shows. I can't tell which show Terry never performed. He performed on a lot of shows. But then he had True Show Salute, Western Consciousness, Stars in Action, and Love Symbol show. But you see that Rebel Salute show in 2001, Terry shelled the show. Yeah, Terry got encores from the crowd just from singing one of his most popular songs, Call on a Friend and Gonna Be My Girl. Yeah, two very solid songs from Terry. Terry continued to put in the work over the years, and in 2004, he found a song titled Counting Hours, which was produced by Barry Salmon. Honestly, I never know Barry Salmon was producing the song at that time. Already you learned something new. It was produced by Barry Salmon's Harmony House Records. And that song was featured on many reggae compilation albums. So a reggae compilation album is like an album with a lot of different tracks from different reggae artists. I know back in the days you had Tad's record. I know Tad's used to do it, I think VP used to do it. So I'm not sure how it goes. I don't know if they would buy the track from the artist and then put it on an album and resell it, but they would have like Terry Linen, Garnet Seal, Capleton, everybody would be on one CD package as an album and sold. So while all this was going on, Terry still managed to live in both St. Elizabeth and Mandeville. You know, say as a countryman, him now left for country and all country. In 2007, I think it was 2007, Terry signed with Uplifting Music International. Honestly, I'm not really sure if it was a local record company or it was an international. I think it was an overseas one based on the name. I was trying to Google to find some information about it. I couldn't really find anything. But when he signed with them, his stock started to go up. Terry Linen was now in demand. People started knowing more about him and stuff like that. I think at that point he released a track known as "Mood for Love," which "Mood for Love" went number 1 on Richie B's reggae chart. Some of them might are too young to know what Richie B reggae chart was back in the day. Richie B reggae chart was a hot, very hot chart. Everybody wanted to be on it, and once a song make it, that song was a good song or a hot song, as they would say. Um, while it was making the reggae, it was charting and Richie B reggae chart. It was getting a lot of airplay. So the radio was playing Terry Linen right through. On the international scene, Terry Linen's song "No Time to Linger," which he did on Joe Fraser's label, was burning up the charts, the reggae charts in Miami, well, Florida, and New York. I can't really tell if those charts are big, what was a big deal back in the day, because it's not Hot 100 or it's not Billboard, or I can't tell, because I would have to Google a lot to find that out. But it was doing real numbers on those charts. I think that song spent 3 weeks in the top three. I know it wasn't number 3, so that song was doing really good on the international. Following up his "No Time to Linger" record, Terry found a new single, "Better Man," which was slated to be the name of his upcoming album. Better Man was getting heavy rotation all over and was climbing the Richie B reggae chart again. So you see the Richie B reggae chart, once you have the music, your song will always end up on it if it good. So it was good. Terry Linen had become a better man and he continues to grow musically and please his fans. Um, I think he did some interview and I'm going to quote what he said. I'm going to quote Terry here. "I can see where my career is moving forward once again and connecting the right way. I feel like my career has rejuvenated, and for that period of time, Terry Linen was dominating the airwaves. Yeah, turn on the radio, Terry Linen up there. Destiny was smiling on Terry Linen. The stars were aligned, and his songs was loved and embraced by everybody. Everybody over the world. I listen to Terry Linen. Terry would then go on to perform at all of the major reggae festivals and shows across the world, performing alongside greats like Barry Salmon, Buju Banton, Marcia Griffiths, just to name a few. And during that time, I think reggae music was also in a transition period. But for some reason, Terry still manages to hold on to his roots and maintain the way he was doing his thing, which is somewhat good and somewhat bad, determining how you look at it. Terry's journey was not just all good, because there was bad times that came from personal and professional setbacks. And with how music was evolving, and the rise of digital platforms and how the audience consume music, this shift requires the artist to change drastically and find ways to innovate themselves. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't think Terry was able to change with the times. I think that's one of the reasons why he's not as big as I expected him to be. Even though the music industry has changed and the way how we consume or how music has been delivered has changed, Terry Linen continues to create music that speaks to us. He remains active in the reggae scene, releasing new material and performing live. Um, his recent work has reflected a more mature side of him, and it shows that he has honed his craft over the years that he has been doing it, and he's still sticking true to his roots. So the same Terry Linen that you were getting back then, you're getting the same Terry Linen now, just a bit more refined. I would say a bit more refined. Um, I think in 2022 he released a series of gospel tunes, and since the beginning of last year, he has also dropped some new reggae songs as well. Terry did an interview with the Gleaner in 2023 where he said, I won't quote him word for word, but it is on the excerpt from the newspaper is on his screen. He's just letting the fans know that he has been putting the work. He's still putting in the work, and he has some songs. He's just waiting on the record label to decide which one of the songs they want to release for him. And he has also released a new song called "Playing Money Games." So that song came out in January 2023. If you hadn't heard it as well, listen to it. You can go by him YouTube page, listen to him song on Spotify or whatever you can find him, and run up the numbers. Sorry, run up the numbers on it for him. On the same interview that he did with the cleaner, Terry also pointed out that, hey, he loves to go out and perform, but he's not really getting the opportunity to go out and perform as much as he wants to. He feels like they have persons in the industry who bench him or bench artists, so he's not getting booked for shows. Even though he has put in the work, spend the money, and put in all his energy into reggae music, he's not really getting booked for shows. So if you're a fan and you haven't seen him out there, it is not him who doesn't want to perform. It is people not booking him for show. And I'm going to say something to Terry now. I would consider Terry an icon in the reggae music industry, right? And when you are at that stature or you reach a certain level, you don't really necessarily have to wait on people to book you for a show. You can create your own show. You can host your own events. Host your own events. Invite some artists, and trust me, your fans will come out for the show. From humble beginnings to being a star and an icon in the reggae industry, Terry's journey is one that should inspire others who want to be a part of the music industry, whether it's dance or reggae, rap, or whatever you want to do. But as we reflect at his impact and his contribution, we still have to ask the question, how will Terry's legacy inspire the next generation of reggae artists? If you have an answer for that, comment it below. Please tell me. I love to hear from you. As we close out this video, I just want to express a heartfelt thank you to Terry for sharing his gift of music with us. And I just want him to know that he has made an impact, not just in reggae music on a whole, but he has touched the lives of many. A lot of young artists who are inspired by him. A lot of people who listen to his words for comfort. Because Terry preaches nothing about love and you. That's one thing I like about Terry. As I said before, we wish you all the best and all the best for your future endeavors. May your music continue to inspire and uplift, and may your legacy pave the way for the future generation of reggae artists. Um, Thank you, Terry Lennon, for your invaluable contribution to reggae. And thank you for watching this video. See you next time. Bless up.